I never thought painting my fence blue would land me in court with a billionaire breathing down my neck. But that's exactly what happened when Karen Hargrove decided my color choice was a personal affront to her McMansion empire. In one fell swoop, she slapped me with a $5,000 HOA fine, evicted my tenant's dog from the backyard, and got the neighborhood busybodies to graffiti my mailbox with eyesore alert. And if that wasn't enough to make my blood boil, she whispered to the local paper that I was ruining property values for the greater good, turning me into the villain of Willow Creek Estates overnight. It was a Tuesday in late spring, the kind of day in suburban Atlanta where the azaleas are blooming like they're auditioning for a Southern Living spread, and the air smells like fresh-cut grass mixed with the faint tang of barbecue from down the street. I'd bought my modest two-bedroom ranch house 3 years earlier, right after my divorce, figuring it was the fresh start I needed, a place to rebuild without the ghosts of alimony payments haunting every corner. The house was nothing fancy, peeling siding from the 80s, a kitchen with 4 mica counters that screamed vintage if you were being kind, and a backyard big enough for a grill and a hammock. But it was mine, paid for with sweat equity from flipping houses on the side. And I loved that damn fence. The fence in question was chain link, rusted in spots, but sturdy, separating my yard from the green belt that buffered the neighborhood from the highway. It wasn't even visible from the street. Hell, you need a drone to spot it. But Karen, Queen Bee of the Willow Creek Homeowners Association, had made it her mission to police every inch of our 200-acre gated community. She lived at the top of the hill in a sprawling colonial that looked like it had been airlifted from Versailles, complete with columns, a 3-car garage for her Tesla fleet, and a pool that probably cost more than my annual salary. Her husband, if you could call the guy who funded her lifestyle that, was some tech bro who'd cashed out on a crypto scam back in 2021 and vanished to find himself in Bali. Left her with billions and a vendetta against anything that didn't scream old money aesthetic. I'd painted the fence blue on a whim, a deep ocean blue to match the sky on those rare Georgia days when the humidity hasn't turned everything into a steam bath. It was therapeutic, slathering on coats while blasting Luke Combs and nursing a six-pack. My neighbor, old Mr. Jenkins next door, even waved approval from his porch, yelling, "Looks sharper than a tack." Son, but Karen? She drove by in her white Escalade, windows down just enough to let her pearl earrings catch the light, and screeched to a halt like I'd erected a Berlin Wall. "Mr. Harlan, is that blue?" Her voice was all honey drawl laced with arsenic, the kind that makes you question if Southern belles invented passive aggression or just perfected it. She was in full Karen regalia, yoga pants that cost more than my rent, a blouse from some Vineyard Vines knockoff, and sunglasses perched on her head like a crown. The covenants are clear, neutrals only. Beige, white, gray. This is garish. I wipe paint from my hands on my jeans, forcing a smile because, let's face it, you don't piss off the woman who controls your trash pickup. Mrs. Hargrove. It's a back fence. Nobody sees it but the squirrels. Her lips pursed like she'd bitten a lemon. The squirrels have standards too. Darling, I'll have to bring this up at the next board meeting. She snapped a photo with her phone, the flash blinding in the midday sun, and peeled out, leaving tire marks on my driveway like a parting shot. That was Monday. By Wednesday, the fine notice arrived via certified mail, typed up on HOA letterhead with her signature flourish at the bottom. $5,000 for aesthetic violation and willful disregard for community harmony. Attached was a glossy brochure of approved palettes, all pastels that looked like they'd been designed for a nursing home. I laughed at first, had to, or I'd scream, then called my buddy Dave, a real estate attorney who'd handled my divorce and owed me a beer. "Dude," he said over speakerphone while I paced my kitchen, "that's bullshit. HOAs can't fine for back fences unless it's in the bylaws." Send me the docs. But Karen wasn't playing. By Friday, she'd rallied the troops. A petition circulated door to door by her minions, mostly stay-at-home moms in Lululemon who whispered about my single guy vibes like it was a communicable disease. And my mailbox showed up defaced with sharp scrawls. The local patch ran a hit piece. Willow Creek resident defies rules. Sparks debate on neighborhood pride. Quotes from anonymous sources called me disruptive and uncooperative. One even suggested I was bringing down values because my truck had a bumper sticker for the Atlanta Falcons. I confronted her at the grocery store that weekend. Publix on a Saturday morning buzzing with weekend warriors stocking up on charcoal and cheap wine. She was in the organic aisle, inspecting avocados like they held state secrets. When I wheeled my cart up, full of off-brand cereal and frozen pizzas. Because that's how bachelors roll. Karen, I said, keeping my voice low but firm, this fine is extortion. Take it back, or I'll fight it. She didn't even look up, just prodded a fruit with a manicured nail. Extortion? Oh, honey, that's dramatic. It's enforcement. For the good of all. Then she straightened, eyes locking on mine with that billionaire glare, the one that says you've got more zeros in your bank account than I have reasons to care. And if you push this, I'll make sure every agent in Fulton County knows you're the problem child. Good luck selling. That was the hook that sank deep. Selling? I wasn't going anywhere. This was my fortress. My slice of the American dream amid the sprawl of I-85 traffic and overpriced coffee shops. But her words lit a fire, the kind that simmers slow until it erupts. I paid the fine under protest, $5,000 I didn't have, scraped from my emergency fund, and repainted the fence government issue beige that night, the color of surrender. Neighbors nodded sympathetically as I worked, but nobody spoke up. Fear of the queen bee. I guess. Little did she know, I'd been moonlighting as a zoning consultant for the county, using my civil engineering degree to navigate the bureaucratic mazes that make Atlanta's suburbs a patchwork of red tape. I'd helped a farmer rezoning land for solar panels just last month, twisting ordinances like pretzels. And Karen's precious greenbelt, turns out, it butted up against an old agricultural easement from the 70s, buried in deeds nobody bothered to read. An easement that allowed temporary storage of organic materials if you knew how to invoke it. By Monday morning, I was at the county office, filing paperwork with a grin. Revenge isn't a dish best served cold. It's best served with a side of legalese. Straight from the public records. The board meeting that week was a circus. Willow Creek's community center, with its folding chairs and vending machine coffee, felt like a coliseum as Karen presided from the head table. Her Chanel scarf draped just so. 20 residents crammed in, murmuring about pool fees and holiday lights. But the air crackled when she called my name. Mr. Harlan, your compliance is noted. But let's discuss ongoing issues, like that unsightly truck in your drive. I stood, heart pounding but voice steady, the room's eyes on me like spotlights. Actually, Mrs. Hargrove, I've got an issue of my own. That greenbelt behind my property? I've petitioned the county to rezone a section for agricultural use. Specifically, manure storage for local farms. Gasps rippled through the crowd. Karen's face went the color of spoiled milk. Manure? You can't be serious. That's preposterous. Oh, but I am, I said, sliding copies of the filing across the table. The easement's right there in the original plats. Your mansion overlooks it perfectly, should make for some. Aromatic views come summer. She snatched the papers, scanning them with trembling hands. This is sabotage. I'll bury you in lawyers. Bring it, I shot back, the words tasting like sweet tea victory. But next time you find someone for offense, remember, what goes around comes around. Smelling like shit, the meeting dissolved into chaos, shouts, accusations. One lady fanning herself with a covenant booklet. As I walked out into the humid night, fireflies blinking like conspirators, I felt alive for the first time in years. Karen had poked the bear, and now the bear had a zoning map. But this was just the opening salvo. What came next would turn her world upside down, one bureaucratic stamp at a time. Word spread through Willow Creek faster than a brush fire in August. By dawn the next day, my phone was blowing up with texts from neighbors I'd barely nodded to in passing. "Dude, you're legendary," from Jenkins. "Holy crap, did you just nuke her pool view?" from the young couple across the street. Even the HOA's Facebook group, usually a shrine to Karen's curated posts about community spirit and sponsored ads for her husband's old crypto app, erupted in a frenzy of emojis and thinly veiled jabs. But Karen? She went nuclear. Her first move was a cease and desist letter from a firm in Buckhead, the kind with gold-embossed stationery and billable hours that could fund a small country. Delivered by courier at 9 a.m. Sharp, while I was nursing black coffee and scrolling Zillow for comparable sales, just in case. It accused me of malicious interference and threatened a lawsuit that would eviscerate my finances. I forwarded it straight to Dave, who called back cackling like a hyena. "This is gold. Harlan." Her lawyers are swinging with wet noodles. The easement's ironclad. But heads up, she's got pull. Expect the smear campaign. He wasn't kidding. By noon, the patch followed up with HOA drama escalates. Fence feud turns to fecal fiasco. Anonymous sources read, Karen's inner circle painted me as a bitter divorce hell-bent on revenge, complete with a blurry photo of my truck and speculation about my spotty work history. Spotty? I'd engineered half the bridges over the Chattahoochee. But sure, let's drag the ex-wife angle. My phone lit up with calls from old college buddies. Saw the article. "Man, you okay?" And then the real gut punch. My ex texted, "Her to the neighborhood terrorist now." Classy. I slammed the door on that noise, heading to the county planning office instead. The building was a squat brick bunker off Roswell Road, smelling of stale donuts and printer ink, where civil servants in polo shirts wielded stamps like Excalibur. MS. Ramirez, the zoning clerk who'd helped me before, raised an eyebrow over her bifocals as I slid the application across her desk. Manure storage. Huh. Adjacent to high-end residential. This'll ruffle feathers. Feathers? More like egos, I said, leaning in. But it's legal. The Greenbelt was zoned AG Reserve back when this was peach orchards. Hargrove's lot encroaches by 5 feet. Oops. She chuckled, stamping the prelim approval. Public hearing in 2 weeks. Bring popcorn. That hearing became the talk of North Fulton. Karen turned it into her personal crusade, packing the room with allies, realtors in power suits. A pastor from the megachurch down the road preaching about preserving God's green earth, and a gaggle of her Pilates pals clutching petitions that read like a bad Yelp review. The auditorium at the county annex hummed with tension, fluorescent lights buzzing overhead like angry hornets. As Commissioner Hale, a grizzled ex-cop with a drawl thicker than molasses, called the session to order. Petition 24-056, rezoning of Parcel 17B for temporary organic waste facility, he intoned, adjusting his glasses. Proponent, Mr. Elias Harlan. I stood at the podium, notes in hand, feeling every eye like a laser sight. Commissioners, this isn't about spite, it's about equity. The HOAs fined residents for trivialities while ignoring historical easements that benefit the community. This storage would support local dairy farms, reduce truck traffic on 400, and Karen interrupted from her seat, rising like a diva in a bad opera. This is filth. My home, our homes, are worth millions. You're turning paradise into a pigsty for some grudge. Murmurs swelled. Hale banged his gavel. Mong. Decorum. Mr. Harlan. Rebuttal. I locked eyes with her. That billionaire poise cracking, just a hair. Mrs. Hargrove, you fine me $5,000 for a fence nobody sees. This is the law catching up. If smells bother you that much, maybe sell and buy an island. The room exploded, laughter from the back, where farmers I'd looped in sat grinning, hisses from Karen's camp. She stormed the mic next, voice quivering with that faux outrage only the ultra-rich can muster. This man is a menace. He's single, unstable, check his records. Divorced, no family, probably plotting more chaos. Hale's face hardened. Personal attacks ain't fly here. MS. Hargrove, stick to facts or sit down. She sat, fuming, but not before shooting me a look that could curdle milk. The vote came down 4-3 in my favor. The swing votes swayed by a dairy co-op rep's testimony on sustainable waste management. As the gavel fell, Karen bolted, her heels clicking like gunfire on the linoleum. Outside, under a sky turning bruised with evening clouds, she cornered me by my truck. You think you've won? I'll appeal. I'll bury you in appeals until you're bankrupt. I shrugged, unlocking the door. Bankrupt? Nah. But you'll smell regret every morning with your oat milk latte. Driving home, windows down to let the honeysuckle-scented breeze wash over me. I felt the weight lift. Willow Creek's group chat was a war zone, half cheering my David versus Goliath win, half decrying the stink bomb on our enclave. Karen posted a tearful video, actual tears, Chanel mascara running, ranting about bullying the vulnerable. Vulnerable? The woman who donated wings to hospitals for tax write-offs? But backlash has teeth. By week's end, my boss at the engineering firm pulled me aside during a site visit to a new subdivision off Peachtree Industrial. Elias, love the gumption, but clients are asking questions. Hargrove's on the board of our biggest developer. Tread light. Tread light? Screw that. I doubled down, coordinating with the farms, portable composting units, methane capture tech to minimize odors, eco-friendly enough to shut down the tree huggers. Deliveries started small, a truck of aged cow patties dumped under tarps. Far enough from houses to be polite, but close enough to tease. The first whiff hit on a humid Thursday. Subtle at first, like a bad fart in church, then building as the sun baked it in. Karen's retaliation? Vandalism. My truck tires slashed one night. Poop head keyed into the hood. Cop called a prank. But I knew her style subtle, deniable. She denied it. Of course. In another patch, exclusive, devastated by escalating threats. Threats? I was the one sleeping with one eye open. Dave advised a restraining order, but I waved it off. Let her dig her hole deeper, because Phase 2 was brewing. I'd uncovered her mansion's septic violation, overflowing into the greenbelt. Fined twice, but donated her way out. Leverage. Pure and simple. As summer humidity thickened the air, so did the tension. Neighbors split camps. Team fence me versus team perfume her. Block parties turned awkward. Potlucks poisoned by whispers. And me? I grilled burgers on my patio. The faint earthy tang from the greenbelt mixing with charcoal smoke. Toasting to the chaos I'd unleashed. Little did I know, Karen's next play would drag my past into the light, forcing me to confront the scars I'd buried deeper than any fence post. The Manure deliveries ramped up in July, right as Atlanta sweltered under a heat dome that turned the asphalt into a skillet and the air into soup. Trucks rumbled in at dawn, their loads of fermented hay and cow chips offloaded by guys in coveralls who cracked jokes about fertilizing the rich. I oversaw it all from my backyard, clipboard in hand. The blue fence repainted, but my resolve steel gray. The smell? It lingered like a bad hangover, earthy, pungent, invading nostrils on breezeless days. Complaints poured into the county, 47 in the first week, mostly from Karen's zip code. But the zoning held. Hale even sent a memo praising the innovative reuse. Karen, though, wasn't one to wilt. She pivoted to psychological warfare, dredging up my divorce like it was yesterday's headlines. It started with a blog post on her Willow Creek Watch site. Yes, she'd launched one, all pastel graphics and sanctimonious prose. When personal demons invade our sanctuary, the headline screamed, with a stock photo of a shadowy figure lurking by a white picket fence. The subtext? Me. Details poured out. My ex's accusations of emotional neglect, the custody battle I lost over our golden retriever, don't ask. Even a redacted police report from a bar fight post-split. Is this the man we trust with our community's future? She wrote. Hashtags like safety first and HOA heroes trending locally. I read it at 2 a.m. Screen glow harsh against my kitchen walls. A half-empty bottle of bourbon on the counter. The words hit like shrapnel, ripping open wounds I'd cauterized with work and weekend hikes in the Chattahoochee National Forest. Yeah, I'd screwed up the marriage, too buried in blueprints. Too numb after my folks' car wrecked the year before. But this was public flogging, Karen wielding my pain like a social media sword. By morning, the fallout crashed down. My firm called a chat, HR speak for firing squad. Over Zoom, my manager fidgeted with his tie. Elias, you're stellar on projects. But this publicity, clients are pulling back. Hargrove's husband invested in our parent company. We have to let you go. Let me go. After 6 years grinding elevations and permits, I logged off numb. Then rage boiled over. I drove to the Greenbelt, kicking at a tarp until my boots sank into something squelchy, the stench grounding me like a slap. Screw you. Karen, I muttered to the empty field. That afternoon, I filed my own complaint, her septic leak, complete with soil samples I'd collected, perks of knowing engineers. The county inspector showed up the next day, poking around her manicured lawn while she hovered like a hawk. You can't do this, she shrieked from the patio, phone in hand filming for her next viral rant. Harassment. I'll sue. The inspector, a no-nonsense woman named Patel, didn't flinch. Ma'am, code enforcement. Your system's non-compliant. Fines $10,000. Plus remediation. Her face twisted, pure, unfiltered fury as he drove off. By evening, her blog fired back, weaponized bureaucracy, a tale of two neighbors. But this time, cracks showed. Comments flooded in. Not all sycophantic. Karen, pot meat kettle. Heard about the septic, hypocrite much? The tide was turning. Slow as molasses, but inexorable. I leaned into the momentum, hosting an impromptu barbecue for the fence team. Jenkins brought ribs. The young couple, Mike and Lena, toted craft IPAs, and even quiet misses. Lopez from the cul-de-sac showed with empanadas. We gathered on my patio as the sun dipped, string lights flickering to life. The Greenbelt's aroma, a distant hum on the breeze. Story spilled. Karen's fines for too many kids' toys, her veto on solar panels because they clashed with the aesthetic. Laughter mixed with beer. A fragile solidarity blooming. But solidarity's a double-edged sword. Mike buzzed on his third IPA. Clapped my shoulder. Man, you're a hero. But that blog, it's rough. You holding up? I stared into my solo cup, the foam swirling like my thoughts. Holding? Barely. Lost my job today. Silence fell. Then Lena hugged me. Quick. Fierce. We'll help. Job hunt. Whatever. That night, alone again, I scrolled old photos. Me and Sarah at our wedding. All Tool and Hope under Georgia Oaks, the retriever. Max, chasing frisbees in better yards. Karen hadn't just attacked my present. She'd exhumed the corpse of my past. Enough. Time to flip the script. Dave and I met at a Waffle House off 285 the next morning. plates of hash browns scattered like battle plans. Counter-sue for defamation, he urged, syrup dripping from his fork. Her blog's libelous. And leverage the septic, demand she drop the appeals or we go public with her violations. I nodded, but my mind raced further. The Greenbelt wasn't just manure, it was a Trojan horse. I'd petitioned for expansion, a community garden, affordable housing plots on the edge, stuff that diluted her gated utopia. Make it hurt where it counts, her wallet and her worldview. The public hearing for the expansion was a rematch in the county annex. This time standing room only. Karen arrived flanked by lawyers. Her armor, a sheath dress and diamond studs. But shadows under her eyes betrayed sleepless nights. She testified first, voice steady but edged with desperation. This isn't zoning, it's vengeance. My family built Willow Creek. We can't let one man's grudge destroy it. Built it? Her husband's crypto windfall bought half the lots. Sure, but the we was a joke. I took the stand next, voice amplified by months of simmering. Mrs. Hargrove, you wield the HOA like a scepter, finding single moms for bird feeders, widows for unmowed lawns. This rezoning restores balance, access for all, not just the elite. And your septic? That's the real pollution here. Gasps. Then applause from the back. Farmers. Activists I'd networked with via Reddit's r/Atlanta threads. Hale ruled in favor again. But with a caveat. Environmental impact study. 6 months out. Karen's appeal loomed. But so did my countersuit. Filed that week. The backlash peaked mid-August. A heat lightning storm rolling in as her blog imploded. Trolls descended, digging up her own skeletons. A DUI hushed with donations. Her husband's SEC probe. She went dark online. Rumors swirling she decamped to the lake house in Alpharetta. Willow Creek quieted, the smell fading as rains dispersed it. But the divide lingered, neighbors nodding warily. Trust fractured like cheap china. I found odd jobs, consulting gigs via Upwork. Bartending weekends at a dive off Ponce de Leon, piecing stability back. One night, scrolling X, formerly Twitter, I saw her post, a selfie from a charity gala. Caption, rising above the muck. Resilience. Muck. Goo. But resilience cuts both ways. As fall leaves turned the Greenbelt crimson, I prepped for the study's public input. Karen thought she'd outlast me. But I was just getting started. The bitterest pill? It wouldn't be the smell. It'd be watching her empire crumble from the inside. One entitled brick at a time. Fall in North Georgia hits like a fever dream. Crisp mornings giving way to sticky afternoons. Oak leaves carpeting lawns in fiery protest against the dying heat. By September, the Greenbelt's facility was operational. Neat rows of compost bins. Solar-powered aerators humming softly. A sign proclaiming sustainable AG support, partnering with local farms. The odor was managed. Occasional on windless days, but enough to remind Karen every time she sipped her veranda blend on the terrace. Her appeal dragged on, bleeding cash into legal fees, while my countersuit gained traction. Dave negotiated a settlement, dropped the defamation claims, or faced discovery on her finances. She blinked first. A terse email from her attorney, resolution pending. But victory's a sly beast. It whispers sweet nothings until the bill comes due. Willow Creek transformed in subtle ways. The HOA board, sensing mutiny, ousted Karen as president in a special election. She sulked through it, boycotting meetings with a flu excuse that fooled no one. Neighbors who'd once curtsied now crossed streets, their silence louder than any fine. Mike and Lena started a petition for covenant reforms, fewer aesthetics, more green spaces, and I signed first. Ink still wet from unemployment checks. My life, patchworked but progressing. A freelance gig rezoning a strip mall in Decatur paid the mortgage. and weekends blurred into hikes with a new dog, rescued mutt named Blue. After the fence that started it all, therapy helped too, unpacking the divorce debris Karen had flung. "You're not the villain," my counselor said over Zoom. Her office bookshelves a cozy blur. "You're the guy who fought back." Fought back. Yeah, but as October's chill deepened, cracks spiderwebbed my armor. Anonymous letters arrived. "Move on, or we'll make you." One with a photo of Blue sleeping on my porch. Time-stamped midnight. Cops shrugged. Pranks, but sleep evaded me. Shadows lengthening in my ranch house's empty halls. Karen? She'd resurfaced, selling the McMansion in a fire sale, $2.5 million. Half asking. Whispers of stink stigma chasing the listing. She relocated to Buckhead, a penthouse condo with doormen and no greenbelts, posting filtered pics of wine tastings and new chapters. The final showdown came at the Environmental Studies wrap-up hearing. A chilly November evening in the annex. Holiday lights twinkling prematurely outside. The room was half empty. Energy sapped like the season. Hale Pidesidit. Report in hand. Minimal impact projected. Expansion approved. With buffers. Karen testified last. Deminish no lawyers. Just her in cashmere and pearls. Voice stripped of venom. I overstepped. The fines. The blog. It was fear. Of losing control. Pauses hung heavy. Was that an apology? Willow Creek was my dream. Now a reminder. Murmurs softened to empathy. Southern grace kicking in. Forgiveness as polite as please and thank you. Me? I stayed silent. Blue's leash looped around my wrist under the table. Her eyes met mine briefly. Not defiant, just hollow. The vote passed unanimously. She slipped out before applause. After, Jenkins cornered me in the parking lot. His old Ford idling. "You broke her. So, was it worth it?" I scratched Blue's ears. Exhaust clouds blooming in the cold. "Worth it?" She fined me for living. I just equalized. He nodded, driving off into the night. Driving home. 85's taillights a river of red. Regret gnawed, not for her, but for the man I'd become. Vengeful. Isolated. The hero in my head, but the grudge holder next door. Willow Creek healed unevenly. New board. Looser rules. A community garden sprouting on the Greenbelt's edge. I planted tomatoes there one Saturday. Soil rich under my nails. Neighbors chatting over fences instead of behind them. Karen's epilogue filtered through gossip. Divorce finalized. Bali hubby keeping the billions. She channeled energy into a women's empowerment nonprofit. Irony thick as gravy. Saw her once. At a Publix grand opening in Buckhead. Thinner. Laughing with strangers. No crown of sunglasses. Our carts brushed. She nodded. A ghost of a smile. "Harlan, blue suits you." "Life does," I replied. Pushing past. No gloat. Just closure. That Christmas, I strung lights on the fence, blue ones. Unapologetic. The neighborhood glowed. A truce in twinkles. Revenge had rezoned more than land. It had redrawn me. Bitter edges sanded to something sharper. Kinda. Willow Creek endured. Smells and all. Proof that even in America's manicured suburbs, shit happens. And sometimes, it's the fertilizer for growth. But as fireworks popped New Year's over the skyline, Blue snoring at my feet, I wondered, in the end, who really got fined? Her empire or my peace? The answer hung. Acrid as autumn air, both. Probably. And that's the American way. Win some, lose some, grill on.